Hey everyone, and welcome back to Civics Review. Today we're going to talk about the obligations and responsibilities of citizens, what that is and what's the difference between the two. Well, let's get to it. Now, there are many benefits to being a U.S. citizen as opposed to being a legal permanent resident or a green card holder. We're going to quickly compare the two so that you can see the difference. Both U.S. citizens and legal permanent residents can live in the United States. They also can work here too. However, that's where the similarities end. Citizens gain all these other benefits. They gain the benefit of a U.S. passport, they gain the benefit to exit and enter the country for an unlimited amount of time. You might run into some problems losing your permanent residency, but you're never going to lose your citizenship. A legal permanent resident cannot leave the country for an extended amount of time. Otherwise, they're going to lose that green card. Citizens also gain certain benefits that are only available to citizens from the federal government. Also, their children will become citizens, of course. They can run for public office or any kind of government position. You also have the benefit of voting in our elections. We just squashed the groceries. Now, being a U.S. citizen isn't just a prize pack of goodies that we get. We have obligations and responsibilities, and that's what we're going to go over in this video. Obligations are things you must do, meaning if you don't do these things, there's going to be some kind of penalty. Like you're going to pick up trash for community service, you're going to pay a fine, you could even lose your freedom and go to jail. So what are these obligations that we have? Well, one is following the law. I think that one's pretty clear. If you're not following the rules, there's going to be punishments. Another thing citizens must do is pay their taxes. And I'm not just talking about sales tax when you buy things. Let's check out a real paycheck. So here you can see Johnny Bravo, his gross earnings are $600, making $15 an hour, 40 hours a week. Remember, that's a full week's worth of work. But Johnny has his obligations to pay taxes, and the federal government is going to take some of that money away immediately before it even gets to Johnny's pocket. And so over on the right-hand side, we have a bunch of big, scary deductions. All of these have to do with federal or state taxes. Just like Johnny, you too will pay these taxes when you start getting a paycheck, and the first thing that comes out is Medicare. Essentially, that's not for you. That's for the elderly or people who can't really work because of physical conditions. We all chip in a little bit so that they can help pay for some of their medical costs. Up next is Social Security. The government's no dummy. They know you're going to blow all your money. As soon as you get your money, you're going to spend it all. And so what they're going to do is they're going to tuck some of that away to the tune of about 6%. They're going to take 6% of your income and hide that away. And when you become of retirement age, you're going to have some saved away in a piggy bank, and they're going to cut you a check each month, and you're going to say, I'm sure glad somebody was looking out for me because I've got no money left. The most major tax you're going to pay is actually federal income tax. And guys, this goes towards paying things for our president's salary, our military, the Navy, the Air Force, everything, even NASA. That money goes to paying government services. Now, we chip in a little bit. You can see Johnny's chipping in just a little bit each week from his paycheck. But overall, the United States of America collects $1 trillion in taxes from people's income. $1 trillion. Look at this number again, because I don't think you know how big it is. $1 trillion helps go to pay for things like space shuttles and aircraft carriers. Now, the one cool thing here is the state of Florida does not collect state income tax from you. Okay, so this guy, Johnny Bravo, he's living somewhere else. He's got to pay state income tax, but we don't. So overall, how much is Johnny putting in his pocket? It's actually $449. That's a lot less than $600, the $600 that he earned from his company. You're going to probably see this in some form or fashion on your test, but generally, people don't like doing their obligations. We don't exactly like following the law or paying our taxes or doing some of the other things we're going to talk about, but we have to. It's our duty. It's our obligation. We also have what we call jury duty. And let's take a moment now to just pause and laugh at that word. Duty. Okay, good. Another thing we have for boys only is selective service. Now, we're going to talk specifically about what these two things are because not a lot of people know about it. So hold on to your butts. Jury duty is a very important service that citizens provide for other citizens in this country. If you are on trial and you are trying to defend your innocence in a court of law, who is going to determine the verdict, which is basically the decision on the disputed issue or the ruling or the judgment. It's actually going to be the jury, not the judge. A lot of people get that wrong. The judge does not deliver the verdict in a trial by jury. The jurors do that, and that's the citizens. Now, the reason this is important is because we don't want some stinky old judge to rule harshly against us because he doesn't like us, he doesn't like our gender, the color of our skin, or whatever. We want an impartial jury, which is a group of citizens who are going to listen to your side of the story with no bias, no prejudice, and fair judgment. And ultimately, they're going to be the ones to decide if we're guilty or not. Now, the way that we determine if you're impartial is there's going to be some questionnaires that you fill out when you receive your jury summons. They're going to ask you kinds of questions to make sure that you don't hold a grudge or any kind of bias towards the person on trial. And then once they select that jury, they're going to listen and they're going to decide who's guilty or who's not. Gentlemen, if you're standing in the room, you might want to sit down for this one. Okay? I don't want anybody passing out and falling down. So we're going to talk about selective service now. All men between the ages of 18 and 25 years of age have to register for selective service. Now what this is essentially a lottery system. And in the event of an emergency, the United States is going to pull names out of a hat. And all boys who are registered for this, well, you're going to be eligible to have your name pulled out of the hat. And if you get your name called upon, they're going to shave your head, they're going to train you up in basic combat training, and then they're going to launch you out of an aeroplane into the combat zone so that you can defend your country. Now, I know what you're thinking, that's not fair. Why do we have to do this and they don't? That's just the way it goes sometimes, guys. Girls, you're going to sit this one out and enjoy yourselves. Guys, we have to do this. Now, let's talk about what happens if we don't do this? What are the consequences if I don't sign up? I don't want to volunteer. Well, firstly, it's felony. Felony is a pretty major crime. You're going to face $250,000 in fine or 5 years in prison. And I know some of you are standing up right now going, sign me up for jail. But you're also going to face challenges with getting a state or federal job. And oh, by the way, if you have a driver's license or are planning on getting a driver's license in the state of Florida, they're already going to sign you up for this. Yeah, they're going to slip that in there. When you sign the paperwork for your driver's license, you're automatically signing up for selective service when you turn 18. There is some good news though. We haven't enacted selective service since 1973. So almost 50 years since we had to pull names from the hat. Guys, you're probably pretty safe. Probably. Okay, we're going to switch gears here and talk about responsibilities. Now, these are different than obligations. Responsibilities are things that we should do, not that we have to. And so that means there's not going to be any punishment if we choose not to do these things. First, best example of a responsibility for a citizen is voting. We should vote. We should go out there and voice our opinion in our government. But if you don't vote, nobody's going to flip out and throw you in jail or give you some kind of fine. We should also stay up with the news and read and keep up with what's going on in the world. We can sign petitions. We can protest. We should do these things. It's our responsibility to tell the government how we feel. And of course, running for office, if you want to join the government and make a change from the inside, that's something that we encourage. But you absolutely do not have to do these things. Okay, so here's the simple breakdown of the entire unit. We have obligations and we have responsibilities as citizens. Obligations are things that we must do, and responsibilities are things that we should do. Obligations have some kind of penalty, and jail is probably the worst. And then responsibilities, there's not going to be any punishment if you don't do these things. Here's the skinny. Obligations are following the laws, paying your taxes, doing your jury duty, and then that dreaded selective service. Responsibilities are things like voting, reading the news, signing petitions and protesting, running for political office, helping out your community service. There you have it in a nutshell. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks so much for sticking to the end of my video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. We'll make more videos soon.